Welcome to Beth's Happy Home. Many people have asked me the difference between red wheat and white wheat. And we're talking about hard winter wheat in both cases. And so I thought that today it might be kind of fun to show you the results of a test that I did. I made both of these loaves out of an identical recipe. I used the mix that I have made that earlier video about. The only difference is that I used red wheat and white wheat for the different loaves. And so this is the result. The loaves they rose the same amount. The red wheat is a little darker color. It has a reddish hue, and the white wheat has a more golden hue. Both of them are 100% whole wheat. Chemically, they have the same amount of fiber, and they both have some chia seeds added. I did throw in a few pumpkin seeds into the red wheat one because I had them handy, and I would have divided them in half if I had thought to make the video beforehand. But anyway, so here are the results of the two loaves. The red wheat is a little bit higher in protein, and so consequently you get a little bit denser of a crumb with the red wheat, although you can see this is very soft and spongy and pleasant, but the white really is noticeably softer in its texture, and that is all the function of protein. But the bran is about the same, and the main difference that you're going to notice, other than the texture of the white wheat being a little bit softer and lighter, is that the part of the bran that makes the bread red, or the wheat red, is also going to change the flavor a little bit. It's more of that typical wheaty grain flavor. And that's in the bran of the red bran. But they're going to have about the same amount of fiber. There's not much difference. It's just that the gene that makes it red also changes the flavor, gives it a little stronger flavor. So now we'll do a taste test, and we'll see what my tasters think of the difference between these two breads and if one is preferable over the other. All right, this is my daughter-in-law, Katie Smith Stevenson, and she's going to help us with the taste test. Okay, I want it to be a blind test, so close your eyes.
Okay.
Don't peek. Okay. Open your mouth. I want you to respond to the flavor and the texture.
Sorry, let me finish chewing. I really like the flavor because it's more nutty.
That's kind of
it's more of a nutty taste,
right.
But it's really pleasant. Like, I don't feel like you need butter or any sort of topping on it.
Okay, close your eyes again. Is there a difference between that one and this one?
There's definitely a different flavor. That one's less nutty, but it's still a very pleasant taste.
Okay, close your eyes. Open your mouth. You notice any difference?
I think it's just not quite as nutty as the first one, more of a subtle taste, but again, it's still very pleasant and tastes very rich and good.
Did you notice any difference in the texture between the three?
I think the last one seemed like the most fluffy,
Okay.
and the first one was a little bit more grainy overall.
Okay.
But overall,
in the flavor and the texture?
Yeah.
Okay. So I gave her, the first 2 bites were the red wheat. So I kind of tricked her. But it's kind of a test of the second bite is always going to be less intense. You're going to notice the flavor less. And then the third one, she noticed the texture being different. Did you notice between the second and the third that the third taste was less than the second, or was that discernible?
Yeah, it definitely seemed a lot less nutty than the second one did.
Okay.
But overall, I really enjoyed the taste. Like, the first one's just more of a nutty taste. That was the biggest distinction for me.
Very good. So,
Did you explain what they were?
the first two samples were red wheat, the red wheat loaf, and the third one was the white wheat loaf that has a milder flavor, and it has a little lighter, fluffier texture. And that is the distinction that we notice all the time. So she was able to just pick up on that just on a blind test. So good, thank you. All right, now close your eyes. Now Jeff is going to do the taste test for me. So you can see the difference on the camera, I think. And we'll start with this one. Describe the flavor.
It tastes good.
With a little more detail.
I don't know what detail to give you.
What's the texture like?
It's very fluffy, very good.
So it's a light.
I'm guessing that this is the white wheat. I mean, I'm just, because I didn't taste the nutty taste as much neither, and I know that the other one has some of the sunflower seeds in it, but it's very good, very fluffy,
This
moist kind of good.
not sunflower seeds, they're pumpkin seeds actually.
Okay. Same thing again. It tastes the same. Very good. Tasted the same as the first one.
Okay. I'll try this one.
Well, it tastes like the same one again, but I mean, good, fluffy.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you're doing. I'm afraid you might stick a fly in my mouth.
Oh, now that you mention it. Do I have a fly?
That one seems a little more dense, possibly. Fluffy though. I mean, they taste similar to me.
So you can't discern any difference in the flavor?
Really not. They both taste. That one may have been slightly more dense, and the flavor tasted similar to me.
Okay.
Can I
So
open my eyes now?
yeah, open your eyes. So the first one I gave you was the white wheat, and then the one that he said was the same was the red wheat. And then I gave him another piece of the red wheat, which he said was also the same and maybe more fluffy. So that kind of proves that.
Apparently, I'm easy to please.
Well, unless that the difference is hardly discernible. But there is a difference. There is a little bit more of a grainy flavor with this. And incidentally, just talking about the wheat that I used for these two loaves, the wheat for the white wheat was at least, or this is the white wheat, was at least 17 years old, and the one for the red wheat was probably at least 20 years old. I don't have the wheat dated, but I have a moving sticker on the outside of the bucket of the white wheat, and so I know that I bought it before I moved to Oklahoma, which I did almost 15 years ago. So that's how I'm figuring out that. So the difference is very slight, but the texture is probably the most noticeable difference. And Katie added, as she finished up her little pieces of bread, that she thought that the crust on the red wheat was a little bit crispier, and that would kind of make sense. They were baked exactly the same temperature, exactly the same amount of time, and they were allowed to rise the same amount of time. But because there's more protein in the red wheat, it is going to make just a little bit denser of a loaf. And I would recommend white wheat for baking things that are going to be sweetbreads or rolls. And if you just want a hearty artisan bread, you might use the red wheat and get that density and chewiness better from the red wheat. I also wanted to show you, this is a bucket wrench, and I just had it out because I had to open the old white wheat bucket. And you just put it on the lip and pry it up. You don't have to cut the edge of the bucket lid like you do sometimes to get it open if you're trying to do it with your fingers. You can open it just using this wrench. This is made out of aluminum and it didn't cost very much, less than $10. And then this little notch right here is designed to open the little round opening on a water barrel. So you set it down in that, and the water barrel plug is notched, and then you can twist it like that. So this is a bucket wrench and a water barrel opener. And so I recommend that you have one of these in your storage if you're buying your wheat or other grains in plastic buckets that have those lids that are so hard to get off. And the advantage to having the buckets, to having your food storage in buckets, is that they stack really well. And they also are airtight, and so you can get a really good seal in there. Anyway, that's the little experiment that we did today. Happy homemaking, and thanks for watching.